You know, I really made this channel. One of the reasons I made the channel was to get across to you information so that you would not be manipulated by anybody. Not manipulated by women, not manipulated by men. And I put the caption, advice your rich internet dad would give you. One of the advices that I would like to convey to you today is that you're being manipulated in this tariff thing, this whole tariff thing. Leave a comment if you have studied logistics. People who study logistics know that the improvement in shipping goods from manufacturers all the way to the end user can make that entire product cheaper and cheaper and cheaper to the point where the product will cost pennies on the dollar of what it used to be. You understand? So a lot of this is a lot of manipulation going on in the news, simply because people just don't know. And I want to give you that information. Raise your hand if you believe Amazon is the future. I just saw something about Amazon in the paper. Not the paper, I don't read a paper. I saw an article about Amazon. A claim that the author of the article was saying. And I concluded from I actually worked for Amazon for a brief period. Probably a conflict of interest, but I actually worked for them for a brief period. So Amazon is logistics, that's all it is. So it gets products from point A to B, C, D, E, F, right? That's what Amazon is. It may have warehouses. It does have warehouses. It may just be trucks. It may just be a packaging center, and that's it. I don't believe Amazon makes anything except for maybe some, it has some intellectual property. But my question is Amazon the future? If Amazon is successful in doing what it's supposed to do, and Zappos and all this other little, all these other logistics type of places, you will no longer be able to be manipulated because there's not going to be a need, because the industries that are trying to manipulate the United States are going to die out. They're going to close their doors, and we're talking about billions of dollars. Well, Amazon is worth billions of dollars, right? So what do I mean? Okay, I have attended. I always look back over my videos, and I don't finish thoughts. I'll start a sentence and I don't finish the thought. Here's the deal. The way that a country gets more prosperous is to make goods and services cheaper. You're being manipulated into thinking that the way to make goods and services cheaper is to make them overseas. No. That might be one way of making goods and services cheaper, but that's only if your country is super rich and the value of your currency, the Federal Reserve note in the United States, is so much richer than the country where you're doing the manufacturing and the labor, all that sort of stuff. So if that country is dirt poor, or in comparison to the United States, their currency is so devalued as compared to the US dollar, that you can get away with manufacturing goods in that country for pennies on the dollars in that country. Well, that's just one way. And the news tries to manipulate you, who are uneducated in this particular area, into thinking that's the only way. That is not the only way. In fact, that's not even close to the only way. What I mentioned, logistics. If you can get massive amounts of product onto trucks, onto ships, onto railroads, onto airplanes, and ship them from point A to B instead of tiny shipments that they have to pay the driver, the gasoline, the maintenance of the vehicle. If instead of these tiny trips with tiny packages, you have massive amounts, you can then cut down on the cost of the product for the end user. This is why Walmart was working at first. Yes, Walmart was shipping the manufacturing to overseas, but the whole logistics of Walmart was that they then took that product that came into the port, and it was massive, and they shipped it to all of their stores all over the United States. And because they had buying power in the billions and maybe trillion, they were able to get products pennies on the dollar because of the logistics. Now, we're going back to Made in America under the current administration, current president. Well, if for whatever reason, it's no mystery. The last president was under the thumb, and I'm guessing he didn't know, or maybe he did know. There is no way to tell. He was under the thumb of manufacturers who told him, or who had him, who put upon him to make the only game in town is to have stuff made overseas. So knowing that that is not true, that the only game in town is not making stuff overseas in a cheaper country, and that the alternative is to have fantastic logistics so that you can make stuff in America and ship it in massive quantities to stores all over the United States, and thus reduce the individual cost of the product, that is a way for the country to go rich, because now you have products that everybody can get in on, you know. So if it's men's underwear, instead of them being $30, they're selling for $2 because you are ordering them by the truckload, or even not even the truckload, by the fleet load. Then you can have everybody get in on $2 men's underwear. That's how that works. And not that you should, but water, bottled water, being ordered by the fleet load can be reduced down to, you know, pennies on the... Have you ever gone and purchased a whole pallet worth of alkaline water? You will get such a deal that it'll blow your mind, right? And that's because you're ordering it in such quantities. They give you a deal because the bigger the quantity, the less it costs to ship each individual bottle, right? So it costs less to ship each individual men's underwear, right? That's the game in town. Well, Amazon is putting all of that into place. So now manufacturing in the United States is booming, and it's going to get even better and better and better. And all the jobs which were mostly men's job, will come back to fruition, and the logistics of Amazon will play a key role into shipping on a massive scale all of these products, making them cheaper than having them manufactured overseas, shipped into port, and then from port to retail stores or warehouses or wherever they're shipped. I don't want you to be... Here's a manipulation telling you that the US dollar has to be deflated artificially by the Federal Reserve to such a degree to make stuff cheaper in the United States. Well, no, that's not how you make stuff cheaper. That's the opposite of making it cheaper. That creates inflation, right? If your dollar doesn't have as much buying power as it did yesterday, that means the dollar is worth less than it was yesterday because they've devalued the value of the money, right? Now, if you raise the value of the dollar, that means poor people, lower class people, middle class people are going to be able to make more purchases with less dollars, with fewer dollars. And the game in town is to devalue the dollar so that manufacturers who ship their manufacturing overseas can make a killing when they trade with other countries who have their currency less than the value of the dollar. As the dollar approaches lower value, lower valuation, then you can sell more stuff overseas. That doesn't benefit the United States. That doesn't benefit you and me at all. That only benefits the huge conglomerates that ship stuff overseas. I don't want you to be ignorant of stuff. I want you to be so smart. I want you to, and it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat, a boy or girl, whatever. This is stuff that everybody used to know, right? So if somebody comes up to you and says, "Oh, Trump and these tariffs," it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the United States. Japan, China, Russia, they have tariffs. They have tariffs. Have had tariffs. During the Obama administration, they raised the tariffs. And by the way, Obama raised tariffs too. All of a sudden, people act shocked. Oh my, I can't believe Trump. I can't believe the president is raising tariffs. Do you know they have a standing law in China that says that nothing, not a scintilla, nothing in China can be owned by an outsider. It always has to be in 51% control, at the very least, of somebody in China. China looks out for China. The United States, so far and lately, have not been looking out for the United States until this current administration, whose tagline is, "We're looking out for the United States." We're looking out for Main Street instead of Wall Street. You see, Wall Street is doing fine all by itself. You don't have to look out for Wall Street. And the only reason that the last administration kept saying, "Oh, we're looking out for Wall Street and it'll be good for the economy," it'll be trickle down economics, which never worked. Never worked under Reagan, and didn't work under Obama. Wall Street is a game all by itself and has very little effect on the rest of the United States. You know who has more effect on the United States? The Federal Reserve. And that's about the closest touch that the common American has to Wall Street, because them buying and selling stocks and stuff, that does almost nothing unless they're actually taking out an entire company. And you know, they are, you know, they'll scream bloody murder if the stock value goes down 3%. In the grand scheme of things, as far as the common American is concerned, 3% is nothing. Has no effect on it. Okay, I need to end this now. Do you understand? The way to reduce prices is not through shipping stuff overseas. It's through better logistics, more massive logistics. That includes all the way down to the ma and pa store. That's how you get your prices down. Thank you all for watching. Leave a like. Thank you.